This week, we talk about the insulin index versus the glycemic index and talk about how autoimmune disease follows the Western diet, and we speculate how vegans think animals die. Let's get into it. Before we get going, I want to have a little reaction to our last episode with Nick about the seed oils.
Oh, yeah.
And not so much the seed oil part, but the vegan, he's leaning vegan because of the moral argument thing. Like, did you think about that at all over the week? That was kind of gnawing at me. How he's choosing to eat mostly vegan because he believes,
animals have rights.
Right.
That's what he said.
And that that you're not killing as many by eating the vegan stuff. I don't know. That just didn't say.
Based on the proof.
Right. Well, he's basically saying the burden of proof should be on the meat eaters or the animal eater to prove that.
No, he was saying the burden of proof should be on whoever's trying to change my mind.
Right. But I just don't, I don't know how he can ignore all the, I didn't want to sit there and argue with the guy, but I was just thinking of a lot of, and he's just a, he's a destroyer.
Right.
He's a super debater. So it was kind of, I didn't feel equipped to take him on, but I was just thinking about it. And, there's a lot of, so this is a little retort here.
You're lucky I didn't say, what do you think about the vax, Nick? Because I know how he thinks, and you wouldn't have enjoyed that conversation.
Right. Well, obviously the guy's an excellent debater. He's a master debater.
Yeah, he's smart.
So, yeah, he's super smart. So I wasn't trying to get full of bullet holes here. But I just thought about a couple of things, too, that I should have brought up. But I remember hearing about some not hunters, but, they are hunters, but people that defend crops, they actually, patrol the perimeter and take out foxes.
Dude, that's weed.
Well, that too.
That's what they're guarding.
No, but, the guy, I can't remember where they're from, but they just literally shoot animals that are getting ready to eat their crops.
They're called farmers in North Dakota.
Yeah, but I mean, all over the world.
Right.
So, to protect, because that crop is money.
Right.
That's their harvest. That's their income. So they have to protect that. And much like that story we told about the vegan gal that decided to grow her own food, and then slugs were eating all her all her lettuce, and then she read how to get rid of the slugs, and you have to put alcohol in a bowl, and then they get in and drink, and then they can't get out and they drown. And then she just realized it's impossible to make food without animals dying in that production. So, but yeah, I remember, hearing about those guys that defend crops with rifles, shooting fox, shooting bunny rabbits, just to protect their investment, because that's their income. So, and really, I guess it's just a matter of numbers.
Sure.
Because that's what
it is.
What Nick is saying is okay, if 100 cows die on this pasture land, then that's 100. Okay.
When he's talking about sentient beings and.
Right. But then if you're talking 100 rabbits, let's say 100 rabbits die in that same amount of acreage, getting killed in the production of, of whatever is grown on that same amount of acres.
Right.
But then you get into, a cow is a much bigger animal. Does that have more value than a rabbit or a fox?
Well, it's like John Dutton said on Tombstone. He goes, how cute does an animal have to be before you decide it's worth?
Yeah. So, my instinct is that that's just misguided. And it's just tough for vegans to accept, because they really, really don't want an animal to suffer. But it's happening in the production of their food. And I think just because they're divorced from it and so many steps removed, and they just see a nice package of tofu or whatever, and it doesn't have a chopped up animal in the package, that there's so many steps removed, that's kind of what they think. And it kind of brings me
sure, but if going down the road of what Nick was saying in the future, that processed food will be the future, the optimal fuel in the future, take that 100 steps back and say, how much could we create in a greenhouse environment and not have any of that other environmental impact.
Yeah, you wonder. And also, like, and I've heard Sean Baker talk a little bit about the processed lab grown meats and all that. Ultimately, those ingredients have to come from somewhere too.
Right. Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, so there's, in my mind, there's really no escaping it. It's just a matter of relativity,
Right.
you know, trying to minimize it. Whereas we're just like leaning in going, I'll eat Bessie over there. Got no problem with that. Or I'll eat Bambi. No problem with that.
Right.
You know, but, and, you know, a vegan doesn't want to say that because that just seems so harsh.
It's violent.
Yeah, it is.
There's no two ways about
Exactly.
it. If you follow nature's metal,
Right.
you know how violent it is.
Right.
And that's nature.
Exactly.
Period. That's life. We have, I just made this up. We have life privilege.
Well, yes, exactly.
Because we're top of the food chain.
Right.
So we get to go, oh, look at Bambi dying of old age. And it's,
Right. So this is, you know, how a little, you know, jokey meme about how it says how vegans think animals die in the wild, and it's a deer surrounded by its loved ones
Right.
in a hospital bed.
right.
It's
Went
like,
peacefully in his sleep.
if you don't go out and hunt Bambi, how do you think Bambi normally dies?
In northern Minnesota, wolves and coyotes.
Exactly. Probably some horrific death, being eaten
Well, it's still
to
alive.
death slowly while it's still alive. It's being disemboweled by a wolf.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, it's not like they're going to go to the retirement home and then eventually pass away of old age after a long, fulfilling life.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it's people are the urban folk are very removed.
very, exactly. So, you know, you just have to kind of open your eyes and just face facts and admit what's happening. But in good news,
I needed some. My day's been just jam packed with shitty news.
well, here's some good news for you. New report gives red meat a clean bill of health. See, red meat gets shat upon so often lately, and demonized and treated like it's, you know, tobacco or something, and it needs to be its
Information
consumption needs to
terrorism?
be minimized. Yeah. So okay, well, right. Red meat has been the victim of information terrorism, unfairly and dishonestly condemned as a threat to human health. Now, of course, this is a article from the Scottish Farmer, so I'm guessing they're pro meat, right?
Right.
So take that into, you know, with a grain of rock salt. Okay, so the conclusion of a bombshell scientific report that dismantles the last 5 years of anti-meat propaganda and questions the motives and the money behind the modern demonization of livestock farming. Reports, it pulls together multiple peer-reviewed studies of unprocessed meat consumption and concludes quite the opposite. Okay, yeah, because it says the Eat Lancet. Okay, must be a medical journal that put
It
red
is.
meat as number 7 in the international list of dietary threats.
The Lancet's actually a pretty good medical pub,
Right.
as they call in the business.
So the Stanton report pulls together multiple peer-reviewed studies of unprocessed meat consumption and concludes quite the opposite, finding time and time again that red meat is not a contributory factor to ill health. At the same time, identifying areas in recent anti-meat studies where there have been, quote, an inexplicable transformation of the background data in the statistical evidence used, unquote, that produced an abrupt 36-fold upping of meat's supposed toxicity. Yeah, it's just, you know, to me, there's just, you know, there's profits behind this, right? There's all the guys that produce the game changers and that are invested in all the impossible meat products.
Look at the title of that magazine. There's profit behind that. There's profit behind this article.
Oh yeah, yep, exactly. Well, right, of course, if you're a rancher, the last thing you want is people shitting on meat. So yeah, exactly. Yeah, you always have to consider, you know, where it's coming from.
Always.
So again, you know, how do you? Right, it's all opposing views, and at some point you just have to go with your gut, right? I mean, it's just
Literally.
yeah, right, exactly. And you know, I can only speak to my personal experience, and I feel great when I eat meat, and the less I eat of other things, the better I feel.
The better I feel, I'm learning is the less I eat, period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I could definitely overeat and not feel good.
Yep.
But yeah, caloric reduction and with an animal heavy diet to me is, if I could say it in one sentence, that's perfect.
Real food.
Yep.
I've been kind of taking.
Notice he left out processed meat too. So he's,
right.
He's not saying
Right.
nitrate filled stuff.
Yeah. We're not talking
They
about.
specifically say unprocessed meat consumption.
Not talking about wieners.
Right. Or bologna.
Right. Bologna is just lips and hooves. Who's hungry?
Right. It's too bad that hot dogs are so damn good.
Unbelievably good, especially if the bun's a little warm.
Right.
Damn it.
Oh, I know. That shit's good. They got to figure it out. So, yeah, basically, they're trying to ditch the simplistic red meat bad assumptions that we've been spoon fed.
Fair enough.
Yep. I like it. So, got to stay in the arena, keep fighting it. Speaking of eating meat, you know how Joe Rogan went carnivore last January, right? Yeah. This article's pretty hilarious. It says, Joe Rogan said he's eating only meat and fruit for the next month. So he's kind of doing like a Saladino, where it's not just
most of the diehard carnivore. Even have you seen Liver King? He's eating all sorts of carbs.
Like honey, like natural
honey and potatoes.
Oh, potatoes. I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like a lot of them eventually they start out strict carnivore, and
that's a solid.
It's kind of an elimination. Yeah, right. Yeah, you got to watch this on YouTube if you're listening because it's a picture of a meaty ribeye. But it seems like a lot of the carnivores start out strict. They eventually start adding in some berries, natural honey, that kind of stuff.
In season fruit.
Yep. And that seems like a good compromise of, still of helping with the energy, and like fueling some of the fitness activities.
Yeah.
So that, maybe that's the ideal diet.
But his diarrhea thing was very, 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 very short-lived.
Well, right. That's the thing is people, I think that a lot got made of that last year. But the thing is, if you're only doing it for 30 days, you might have diarrhea for most of that.
He said it was only a few, I think.
No, I thought he said it was most of the time.
Oh, okay.
But I've seen just in the carnivore Facebook groups, a lot of people say kind of as an introductory phase, they're, having horrible diarrhea for usually a couple weeks, most people say.
But
and then it just goes away.
That's still too long.
It's not definitely not fun. But if you're making a lifestyle change and you're going from the SAD diet to that, and you have to kind of go through an introductory, event, yeah, that's definitely not good. But I never
have to question why you're so loose.
Well, I think your body's just going, holy fuck.
Yeah, but
what's this?
But biologically, you shouldn't be able to shit through a screen door.
Yeah, I don't know what's
for
going
a
on
month.
There. We need somebody smarter than us to explain.
Having diarrhea for more than a couple of days is not good for you.
And my speculation, just my gut says it's probably just all the fat, like especially for eating ribeyes and things. I don't know the people that eat like lean chicken breast or do more of the PE type diet.
True.
If they experience that, it might be just the fat, and he's ribeye strong here, so. So
I experience it anytime I make a major shift.
Right.
If it's to mostly animal products or back to mostly carbs, anytime I make a drastic change, it's
your body just says, "Holy fuck!"
Yeah, I work from home and my office is the toilet.
So he says, podcaster Joe Rogan said he was giving up vegetables, bread, and just about every other food group to kick off the new year. He said on an Instagram last week he was embarking on a so-called carnivore diet in January, and that's kind of because January is National Carnivore Month or whatever, so
right,
or World Carnivore Month. So he says he's just going to eat meat and fruit for the whole month. It's not clear what his regular meals consist of, although his Instagram suggests ribeye for breakfast is one staple. He tried the diet before. He said he lost weight, but had severe digestive issues too. Now here's where it gets interesting. It says his meat-only diet led to weight loss, increased energy, and diarrhea. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, right?
Yeah, except for when you're fucking dehydrated.
Yeah. Well, and that's temporary. But it's just kind of funny how they, I guess it's a balanced article, weight loss, increased energy, and diarrhea. Right. Just throwing it out there. And I think it's good that he's just like telling everybody what's happening.
Right.
I mean, let people know what they're getting into. He said he described explosive poops in graphic detail to his followers. I haven't shit my pants yet, but I've come to accept that if I keep going with this diet, it's just a matter of time before we lose a battle. That's hilarious. Oh, it says, the issues lasted about 2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Month is a little
Yeah.
That's a little bit much.
He says, suggested a typical day of eating on the carnivore diet involved 2 meals. Breakfast included 6 eggs or a steak, and for dinner he'd eat another steak, either beef or elk, and occasionally other types of wild game such as bison. Yeah, because he goes on those elk hunts with bow and
I would
arrow
do
and
some
stuff.
pretty shady shit for a good elk steak. For an elk ribeye? Ah, damn it. That's living.
Yep. So interesting. We'll see. I remember last year he leaned out a ton just in a month.
But did you see the more plates, more dates guy when he did Rogan? And
Derek.
His head's like Barry Bonds.
Derek's is?
No,
Or Joe's?
Rogan's is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't watch that episode.
Yeah, he did dates and plates on Rogan, and it said there's 0 fucking chance he's not juicing.
Well, he said he's on human growth, whatever.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's talked about that, and I think he's on testosterone replacement. So
Sure.
he's on, because he's at 54 or something like
Yeah.
that. So he's, that's kind of like that Najil Nanjiani or whatever his name is. The guy that was he was in Silicon Valley.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
now his head looks like a giant block.
Yep.
I mean, man, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's worth it. I mean, he's super jacked now, but
Looks like max headroom.
yeah, I mean, if your head changes shape, it's not a good trade off.
No.
I mean, how about just be a little bit smaller but look like a regular
Right.
human? I don't understand that. So I guess we'll have to track Rogan here, and we're at the 20th of January now. It'll be 21st when this airs, so he should be 2 weeks in. So we'll see what's going on and if he benefits or has a similar experience as last year. But he did lean out, though.
Yep.
He lost like 12 pounds or something.
Yeah.
So, and he said his energy was through the roof. Now, my question is, okay, then why don't you stick with it?
Because he was shitting.
Well, but after that was gone in 2 weeks.
Oh, fair.
So,
yeah.
If he felt great and he was leaning out, is it just the addiction to pasta and everything else?
Life.
Yeah, just life.
Yeah. He signed $100 million deal with Spotify.
Right.
He's going to eat whatever he wants.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, exactly. So, interesting to see what he says.
When he goes to the best Italian restaurant in the world,
Right.
that's $300 a plate.
Yeah,
He's not going to say, "Do you have squash noodles?"
Right. So, I saw this, and this is a funny meme here.
This is heaven. No, it's Iowa.
I don't know where this was taken, but this just freaking made me laugh. It's looks like a Pakistani or from India dude, just covered in bacon on a bed. I don't know what's going on there, but I like it.
I don't think he's India. If he's Indian, he wouldn't be covered in bacon.
I thought they like cows.
Oh, yeah. Cow.
Right, they're fine with pigs, right?
Yep, you're right.
I guess
Cows
he
are
has to be
sacred.
bacon and not cows, yeah.
Cows are sacred, right? Pork is... Wasn't that...
That's for Arabs don't like pork.
Okay.
And maybe Jews too, I don't know. But for sure Arabs.
Well, it just has to be kosher, I think.
Something. I'm glad I'm not one of those religions where I have to worry about that. Like, it'd be tough to we got to go find a kosher butcher. We can't eat this because of that.
My religion is CrossFit, so we eat whatever we want.
Right. One thing I saw in the speaking of vegans and impossible meat making its way into the society. Did you see this?
Whoa!
Beyond Chicken nuggets. And
It looks like Christmas baking. Like that's peanut butter.
It's funny because the quote says, "This shit looks like fried erasers." Oh shit!
So gross.
Okay, it's made its way to Burger King. It's made its way to a lot of restaurants, and now KFC is making fake chicken.
It looks you know what it looks like? It looks like putty.
Yeah, it does.
That you would fill like in your ceramic tile.
Right. Grout.
Right.
Yeah, it looks like grout nuggets. And the other quote here is, "It's no way KFC thinks this shit looks appetizing."
No, there's no way. Bunnies is
well,
right.
When you don't, why did they have to bite into it? See, if they this looks regular because that's just breaded.
That looks like original recipe.
Yeah, it's just a nugget. Okay, why'd you got to cut it open?
Yeah, you screwed it.
I mean,
Yep.
God.
You can see the wood grain.
Right. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Wood glue. It's
Yeah.
like wood glue that was put into a form and then,
Right?
Yeah. I don't know, man.
There's even a splinter on it.
Right. I don't know who this appeals to. I mean, why would you want to eat, again, if you're vegan, why would you want to eat something that mimics chopped up precious animal?
Right.
The only audience this is for, it's got to be for dudes that think vegan or plant-based is healthier, but they really want meat and they like meat, but they just think it's healthier. So they're choosing this option thinking it's healthier.
Right.
I don't know, man. Well, here's a review. Some guy, the New York Post. Here's the title.
He's looking. That's how we look. Just how he looked at it.
KFC's new fake chicken nuggets are really gross. That's the title of the article. He didn't mince words. KFC is the latest fast food giant to claim that plant-based chicken can taste as good as a real thing, but the chain picked the wrong faux foul to make its case. The chain's supposedly long-awaited Beyond Nuggets, 6 for $7.99. It's over $1 a piece.
Wow. Well, you remember the Impossible Whopper?
Yeah, it was expensive.
Like
yeah.
$47.
Well, they're charging you a premium because it's so healthy.
Right.
It says they are beyond
Same
awful.
bun.
Right. Worse than KFC's near flavorless real meat chicken tenders.
He's not a KFC fan.
No, apparently.
From the start.
So the fake chicken from within KFC's new offering come from Beyond Meat, a rival to Impossible Foods, which created the famous Impossible Burger. The idea behind offering artificial chicken is to democratize plant-based protein. Oh, boy.
Never. I don't want man boobs.
But this bogus bird would not fool a 7-month-old experiencing solid food for the first time. I wanted to taste this thing separate from the hype and from the oily, overseasoned 11-spiced breading that scorched my tongue like a blowtorch. After some work, I managed to extract the miserably vegan morsel that seemed glued inside its nugget. Once freed, the spongy solid matter did not taste remotely like real chicken, much of which doesn't actually taste like chicken these days thanks to factory farming and antibiotics. Well, that's the problem is if you're eating without the breading, I mean, you're getting the full dose of the grossness there.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, you're relying on that breading to cover it all up and disguise it. Much like the Impossible Whopper with the bun and the onions and everything else. That's how they can get away with it.
But the argument, there's so many stupid arguments around this stuff. There's one argument I heard the other day was, it's so nutrient dense. So is gasoline. Right. There's like 5,000 calories in like a quarter cup of gas.
Yeah. And so is a giant, glass of sugar.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, again, like they're just falling for the pitch that it's healthier than eating real chicken. So, you don't want to because you want to taste real chicken. Otherwise, you wouldn't bother eating something that's simulated it.
That's where like you got a guy like Nick who comes out with his nutrient ranking system.
Right.
And the top of the list are organ meat and fish.
You know what's funny, though, is I thought he was going to go to this is the healthiest thing, but then he actually said it doesn't really correlate to health.
Right.
So that's an important distinction on his little nutrient density calculator. He's just saying this technically has the most nutrients, but it doesn't mean it's the most healthy.
Right.
So that was very important distinction because, then how do you base your choices on that? What you really need is a health index.
Right.
Where it takes all that into account.
Yeah.
And say, okay, this is the most nutrient dense, but it's not the kind of nutrients you want.
Right.
So you need a health, like just give me a list, tell me the healthiest thing, which in my mind, organ meats would be up there. But obviously if he thinks saturated fat is bad, his opinion was that, because when he said, I told him my steak tips cooked in butter was a worse option than the same thing cooked in seed oils or whatever.
Right.
So he was, didn't like the saturated fat. So
I'm thinking he didn't like how the molecular profile changes with heat. Mm-hmm. It's because he kind of shit on the deep fried foods too.
Right. So somebody someday will come up with a health index to tell us what we're doing wrong.
Until then, just follow the pyramid.
Yeah, flip it upside down.
Fuck you.
Fuck you's Impossible Nuggets. Fuck you. That's what I say if somebody.
There's no way I would not pronounce it like that every time. Even after they corrected me.
Right. It says, okay, a better option. David Chang's much smaller. Fuck you, Chan. How do you name it that?
Fuck you.
Lent a shtick of modicum of respectability when it launched Impossible Nuggies.
Hey, that was one of the twins.
So they're trying to be funny, so they call it Impossible Nuggies.
That was one of the twins on Austin Powers.
Oh, was it?
Fuck you and fuck me.
Got it. So that's Red Rooster. Okay. They definitely beat KFC's, but it's a relative thing.
I don't go to fast food anyways.
Right.
So
Yeah. So, you know, if you're going through KFC and you think this is a better option, just get some grilled chicken. I don't know if they even have that anymore, or if it's just all deep fried with breading.
it's still, I think well, I shouldn't say. I don't know if I've had it.
But if you can get
forever.
some grilled chicken, eat that.
I think it's still extra crispy, original recipe, and grilled. And I used to, when I was a KFC eating motherfucker. I used to love KFC. The KFC buffet for
yes.
$5.99.
Yes.
You leave now. You eat like killer whale. And I was.
That guy died, by the way. You've been here for an hour.
He did?
Oh, yeah. Wow, he was monstrously huge. I mean, it was just a matter of time.
Oh, what's the
Comedian guy. You've been here for an hour. You go now.
Yeah, that was Ralphie, wasn't it?
No,
Ralphie May?
Nope. John something. John Brandon or something was his name. But yeah, he passed away. So you posted this the other day, and it made me. I want you to explain it a little bit because it made me think, and I wasn't sure what the point was. So I'll read this quote here. It said, "Undereating is a huge stressor on the body already. There are other stressors we have in life, such as job, relationships, finances, strength training." Interesting that he calls it a stressor, by the way. The more stressors we go through in life, the more carbohydrates your body needs to fuel itself. Think about that.
I posted because I thought it was stupid.
Right. So I didn't understand what I got lost in this. So I want you to
What's the correlate between carbohydrates and stress?
Right. So the fact
There
that he
isn't
throws
one.
you need more carbs on there. Yeah, right. That's
stupid.
I know.
Stress does not throw you into a an anaerobic pathway
or
to where you need
more energy.
Yeah, where you need to fuel
Right.
your stress.
Yeah, I didn't understand the point of this, what they were trying to say. So I wanted to delve into it a little bit.
Yeah. No,
Also interesting that he says stressor was strength training too, which I guess
it is.
it is because you're breaking down the muscles.
There's a stress. Yeah. There's a stimulus there.
Yeah.
And the body adapts to that stress and gets stronger. It can too with the other stresses in life if you handle them correctly.
Speaking of adapting and getting stronger, I got my bench up to 165 from 150 now. Gone up 15 pounds in the past.
That's good.
For 4 sets of 10. That's not a 1 rep max.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what my 1 rep max is yet.
I was pretending to be impressed. Thank God. I was like, yeah, that's pretty good.
Reach over, pat my head. Good job.
Right.
Good
Wait,
job.
165.
No, but I'm progressive overload.
Yeah.
It's creeping up.
Absolutely.
Because
compounding interest.
And I'm going like the last, for the last couple reps of the 4th set. Oh,
And you don't have a spotter, so you can't force.
but I do have safety bars because I got my sweet PRX rack. So, and I have the safety bars right where, and I've tested it with just the bar. That if I put them on the safety bar, it's like right against my chest, so it won't crush me.
Okay.
And then I can wiggle out. So I tested that because lifting alone, that could be scary.
Yep.
Because you're trying to get
Fail.
to the point where you can barely do the last rep.
Yep.
And one of these times, as I creep up in weight, I won't be able to do it.
Right. And then but if I was at your house and you did that last one and I was like this helping you and I had to pull it up, I would still make you go tempo down.
Right.
And then I'd help you up and make you go tempo
right.
down.
Yeah, with the spotter. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, because that would just murder the muscles.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm creeping.
I took it super. We did 1 rep max this week too.
I didn't do 1 rep max.
On Tuesday, no, we did it at CrossFit. We established our new 1 rep max, and shoulders really, really bad, so I took it really easy.
Say the number.
I know I'm embarrassed. I am.
If it's not lower than 160, or if it's not less than 165, you shouldn't be.
275.
Oh, nothing wrong with that.
But somebody goes, "Is that a PR?" I'm like, "It's almost 100 pounds short of my PR."
Yeah, because you could do like 350 or something, right?
365.
Like at your peak
Like this last fall.
when you were strongest at you've ever been.
This last fall.
That's pretty damn good. I don't know if I'll
I
ever
was
see a
over
3.
in my life. I was over 400 once in a Smith machine.
Oh, is that
So
like,
it doesn't count. That's the bar that
Where you put
rides
the-
on the glide.
Oh, okay. Right.
It's got, and then you put the hooks over so
Okay.
it catches.
Never seen one of those, but
You haven't?
well, I'm sure they've been in gyms I've been in.
It's
But
like a regular
do
barbell.
they have them at Planet Fitness? That's like the only gym I've ever been in.
Maybe. I don't know.
But yeah, it's got the bar travel path.
Yeah, it's on
Rails,
like-
basically.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so essentially the bar itself is weightless.
Okay.
And the only weight you're actually moving is on the bar
Right, because you don't have to ever balance it.
ever. There's no stability. It's
Right.
just pushing.
So that gives you a lot more
Oh, you can just
poundage.
push.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
One thing I found when
So, my point is
Mm-hmm.
it was the bench press movement, and it was like 410.
that's
But
pretty good.
it doesn't count.
No, right. Yeah, free weights are just so much harder.
so
and then
much.
dumbbells
They're even harder.
even harder. Yep, exactly. So that's why I wanted to get I got the PRX rack with the barbell and the safety bars and everything. So I feel pretty
So
safe doing
so
it, right?
a perfect example is I pushed up once 365 with a bar, and then I, like within the month or two, I tried to do 150s with dumbbells.
Oh,
So 300,
Which is
with
less.
150, which is 65 pounds less,
Couldn't
and
do
it
it.
owned me.
right.
I got it like right
Oh, yeah.
here,
That's
and
so
I just
much
failed.
harder.
Yep.
That's why when I'm doing my curling, as part of my reps for curling, I have one of those easy curl bars.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
do some of those, and then I do dumbbells. Like I alternate. Then I do dumbbells the other days.
Do you lean against the wall when you do dumbbell curls?
No, should I?
Yeah, because it takes the.
I try to not swing.
But you do no matter what.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm
And,
sure I
and you
move.
won't realize you move
I'm just
until
trying to
you
not
go
go
against
like
the
this.
wall. Right. Kipping curls.
Like I'm jogging. Try not to do that.
We call them kipping curls. Like how we do pull-ups.
I
and
try to
CrossFit.
remain erect as much as I can, and just have it be all arm.
Best is when you get back against the wall and then just put your triceps against the wall and just.
Oh, that's got to be hard as
Oh,
hell.
you can't. Yeah, it's
then
no
it
shoulders.
Just
It's
isolates
no,
the
yep.
muscle. Yeah. But yeah, so it is much harder doing the dumbbells than it is the bar.
Oh,
So
quite hard. It's
yeah.
it's the stabilized muscle.
Yep.
And what ends up happening is if you don't do those movements that use the stabilizer muscles, especially in the shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
is those little muscles don't get strong.
Right.
So as you get heavier, you start getting hurt.
Right, and you won't have the hypertrophy of those either. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
looking for bigger shoulders, you want to
Yep.
be stabilized as much as you can.
Yep. And most of those are, truth be told, most of those are inside. You'll never see them.
Right.
But if you don't strengthen those and you just progressive overload, stronger, and all of a sudden, oh, sorry, Josh, but you got a torn labrum. How the fuck did that happen? Well, you weren't working all the little ones on the way up.
Right. Yep. One thing I've been trying to do too, and I've heard a lot about the mind muscle connection, and then the foot, like pushing.
Especially when you're
What do they call
squatting
that?
and bench
No,
pressing.
like bench pressing, like using your feet on
Yeah.
the ground.
Yep.
What do they call that? Is a word for it?
Grounding.
No, well, maybe that is it, but you basically get some extra oomph by using your feet to push down
Oh,
on the
yeah.
ground.
Yep.
As opposed to just doing it all
Right.
pecs or whatever.
Yeah. And lats.
Right.
And you lock your shoulders back and down.
So I've been trying to do that to like really focus on pushing the floor away. And
That's
be
why when
super
I bench,
stabilized.
that's why when I bench, I don't come from out here. I come from here,
Right. Right.
and then I can do here too.
Yeah.
And then I incorporate here and here as well as chest and tries, and that's how you bench heavy.
Yep.
Just use everything.
Oh yeah.
Your legs, ass, your
Right.
feet. Yep.
Yeah. So it's interesting, but it's fun creeping up though.
Oh,
I
it is.
I have my little board. And I got my little Sharpie,
Mm-hmm.
and I get to write a new number. That's good. I'm also up to 28 chin-ups now.
That's good.
Stuck another one on. It's taken me like a month to add one at a time now, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Newbie gains are gone.
Oh God.
No. But you know what though?
But it's been a year. I have my sheet. I got to take a picture of the
Oh.
sheet because I started this and it was 6 last January.
That's impressive.
And then it was, one every couple of weeks and then it was like one every 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And now it's like one a month.
It's like the person who started saving $300 a month when they were 18 and now they're 35 and they're a millionaire.
Right. It feels good though. I mean, I think it's so important to track, especially if you're getting started. So you feel so much satisfaction seeing those numbers creep up.
Right.
So I think it's important for people that are starting out to do that.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about this article here. So, a lot of this vegan, carnivore, we're always constantly exploring, what the results of certain diets are. So I found this article that talks about the global spread of autoimmune disease blamed on the Western diet, because there's so much more to what you're putting in your mouth than just, am I fat or skinny, right?
For sure.
There's all kinds of effects of what you're eating beyond just gaining weight or not.
I had a friend, we have a really close friend in high school, and his nickname is Bones, because he's been super lean and skinny his whole life. Well, like 6 years ago, he had a stroke.
Oh, shit.
So, yeah, there is such thing as skinny fat.
Well, right. And Bob Saget just died. He's 65 years old, but
wasn't obese.
No, and he looked very, very.
But did you see this
lean.
article about the hidden visceral fat signs, like in his face?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's one thing. Like when we look at pictures of like Dr. Greger and stuff, you see that visceral fat. Is the skinny fat is everywhere. So maybe he had issues with that, because from the outside he looked like he was very svelte.
Yeah,
absolutely thin dude for being 65 years old, especially. So,
so yeah, to the article's point, doesn't matter what you look like.
Right, there's way more at stake than just what you can see and just how much fat is on you. Although that contributes, if you're obese.
See right there, but you just gave the fucking green light to all the body positive, body love people to go. See, I'm healthy.
Right. No, I'm saying.
Just because you're
skinny. You can't be overweight and healthy, but just because you're skinny doesn't mean you are either.
Right. You can't be overweight and healthy, but you can be underweight and unhealthy.
Right. So the only thing to be is the proper leanness and healthy.
And then find out if you're healthy.
Right. Not if you're overweight, you're definitely not.
Right. Not unhealthy. When people are like, well, I'm overweight, my blood work's flawless. Yeah, you're 30.
Right.
And playing with house's money.
Exactly. It's just a matter of time. And there's outliers, obviously. People that make it to 100 and they're overweight. And, it's not like nothing's a guarantee.
Yeah, but
you're just playing the odds here.
But like I tell people all the time, show me the next elderly obese person.
Right.
They don't exist.
Exactly. So what this says is, major international research efforts are being made to fight this trend, including an initiative at London's Francis Crick Institute, where two world experts, James Lee and Carol Vinuesa, have set up two separate research groups to help pinpoint the precise causes of autoimmune disease, as these conditions are known. So numbers of autoimmune cases began to increase about 40 years ago in the West. However, now we are seeing some emerge in countries we've never seen such diseases before. For example, the biggest increase in inflammatory bowel disease has been in the Middle East and East Asia. Before that, they had hardly seen the disease. So I think what they're saying is basically what's changed, right? Well, a lot of these, there was probably no McDonald's in China 40 years ago, but now there is, right?
Right.
As the Western diet makes its way around, they're saying their point is that these autoimmune diseases are following. So here's some other examples: type 1 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, inflammatory bowel disease, and multiple sclerosis. In each case, the immune system gets its wires crossed and turns on healthy tissue instead of infectious agents.
Yeah, it all comes back to just lean out.
Lean out.
Everything always comes back to that.
Yep. That's why, when people fast, a lot of their inflammation and the symptoms of a lot of these diseases improve. That's one of the ways that they see benefit.
I just thought of something. When next time somebody says, I have blank syndrome or disease, what should I eat? My answer from now on is going to be less.
Less, right? Exactly. Yep. Okay, it says if you don't have and then they're making the point too that there's some genetic susceptibility, they call it. Okay, both scientists stress that individual susceptibilities were involved in contracting such illnesses. Ailments that also include celiac disease as well as lupus, which triggers inflammation and swelling. Inflammation is like everywhere in these things too. If you don't have a certain genetic susceptibility, you won't necessarily get an autoimmune disease no matter how many Big Macs you eat. There's not a lot we can do to halt the global spread of fast food franchises, so instead we're trying to understand the fundamental genetic mechanisms that underpin autoimmune diseases and make some people susceptible but others not. We want to tackle the issue at that level. Yeah, because I guess if you took some test and it said, boom, you're a target, then you'd know, okay, I really got to watch this shit.
Right.
Of course, you don't want to get the one that says, I'm not going to get it, and then just be a huge fat bastard either.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess I'd always want to know just because information is power, but, interesting to see what they determine here. Okay, when I started doing research, we knew about half a dozen DNA variants that were involved in triggering inflammatory bowel disease, but now we know of more than 250. Isn't it crazy how they've completely dissected the human genome?
Yeah.
And, all these like different breast cancers and, they can predict like the occurrences of these. It's pretty amazing stuff.
It is.
So bottom line, Western diet, not good for other parts of the world.
No shit.
And they're seeing increase in all these autoimmune diseases following it around. So, careful dude in a rice patty, maybe just stick to what your grandpa ate.
Right. And that
avoid the In-N-Out burger that just got built.
When you think, I don't know why, but my ADHD mind just took over a second ago. And you ever hear this? I mean, everybody's heard this story about grandma or grandpa that lived to 101 and smoked Pall Malls and ate bacon every day and drank whiskey for lunch.
Yep.
And then didn't quit until it was time to go to bed. But none of them were fat.
Right. And you know what? I think a lot of those people that made it that long did that in moderation.
Oh, right.
They weren't, guzzling what do they call it? 1.5 liter of whatever.
Yeah.
They were having their glass. They're on the rocks of scotch or whatever.
Right. And 2 pieces of bacon.
Yeah. It wasn't, they weren't going nuts.
Yep.
And just crushing everything, So I think some of that is, and, they're just creatures of habit, routine.
Yeah.
And they weren't just massively huge.
I think the more I learn about this nutrition stuff, the less I know. And I'm starting to think that it's all bullshit. And it's all going to come down to, in the end,
just eat less.
Just don't be fat.
Yeah.
That's it. It's there's no fucking silver bullet or magic pill.
But then the problem is, like we get into the whole thing of, well, just operate in a caloric deficit, but not gummy bears. It's got to be things that are produce the building blocks.
But if being in a caloric deficit, eating just gummy bears gets you to that healthy weight the quickest, and then we can dial it in, it's better than being
everybody
fat.
Sign up for Dewey's new keto kickstart.
It's better than
it's all gummy bears.
Gummy bear kickstart. Everybody who cares about longevity or being there for their kids, just lose weight.
Lose weight, and you got to build muscle. You got to build muscle.
100%.
That's the missing piece. Like,
yep.
I can't remember.
That's the missing piece to keeping the fat away.
Yeah, because people focus so much on the not being overweight and just got to drop weight, got to do this. It's all about the diet, which we know it's 80% of it, but they're neglecting the putting the lean muscle on.
Yep. To help keep it on.
Right.
So you don't have to chase it.
And just so you're strong and you don't have those detrimental effects of age, you're fighting those off. Like I was talking to my aunt, she was up from Texas the other week, or just this last weekend, and she was asking me, because she knows we do this show, and she was asking me about, she's in her 70s, and she was asking about, what I'm doing, and I could just tell that they're focused on the weight part, and that's all they ever like think about,
Yep.
Is, I'm keeping my weight down. I'm doing this, doing that.
Everybody says that.
But you're not.
Throw the scale away.
It's like for me, I am concerned about that, but I'm as equally as concerned about staying strong and putting lean muscle on.
Right. Well,
And that's what almost nobody's doing. And they're definitely not doing it in equal measure.
and that's part of the problem with the tape measure. And I use this analogy all the time with people is you can't build a house with just a tape measure, but you wouldn't build it without it either.
Exactly.
So
That's
that's
a good
the
line.
scale.
That's a good line.
And it's a tool.
Yep.
Use it once a week. Don't get so caught up in it.
Exactly. And that shouldn't be, we always talk about don't be overweight, but that shouldn't be your only goal. And you have to be packing on lean muscle.
Exactly. Well,
Especially if you're a lady,
right.
because they just completely don't have that focus typically.
And they just chase their tail on the treadmill and
Right. And then the thing is, they always want to look toned, but
they don't have any
just
muscle.
losing weight, you're not going to be toned because you're actually probably going to be less toned.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what made me think of it. Was one of my wife's friends skinny, right? But she's like always, I just got to lose like a little more in the
She has
tummy.
Body dysmorphia, probably.
Well, some of that, but if you don't put lean muscle on, it's never going to look the way you want.
Right. Yeah, you're not going to be proportional.
You can't just lose more fat and have that look better.
Mm-mm.
You have to put on some muscle because otherwise there's just skin and bones.
Yep.
You got to put the muscle on. That's what makes people look fit and,
Right.
and in shape. And the way that they think is just from being skinnier, but it's not. Because your average skinny, super skinny person is not attractive. I mean, that's a broad statement, but you know what I mean? Like somebody that's just skinny being the only adjective.
No, I prefer athletic.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's people want to look athletic. They just don't know that. They think it's skinny.
Right.
But it's actually athletic is what they're shooting for. They just don't know it. So they're, putting in the efforts and all the wrong stuff.
And they don't know how to get there.
Exactly. And then they always go, end up on the cardio.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, you should be lifting weights somehow. That's, do the cardio too, but you should be focusing on the lifting weights. So
Just join CrossFit.
yeah, exactly.
They'll just say, here, do this for an hour and then go home.
Right.
You don't have to worry about where do I start or what do I do.
Exactly.
You show up every day at the time that you signed up for, and they'll just tell you what to do.
But instead, so many are, on the exercise bike or on the treadmill. And that's all they do.
I can do this myself.
Yep. All right, let's get into this glycemic versus insulin
Yeah.
index thing. So, Dr. Eric Berg, big keto guy, he has this thing called the insulin index, and that's different from the glycemic index, which is more about, it's the thing diabetics use. And I got a video here of his that I'll post on the show notes. It's like a 5-minute video you can watch, and he goes through both what they are and the differences and how they affect your insulin. Because his primary goal is to not spike people's insulin.
And that's the new thing for the low carb keto reduced carbohydrate crowd is I don't care what your blood sugar or your A1C is. I care what your insulin is.
Oh, just not the spiking of that hormone.
Right, because if the pancreas is producing all of this insulin, why do we worry about blood sugar being or A1C being high?
Because in my mind, it's a sign of inflammation and all the other things that go along with.
Correct, but in this context, what it's doing is it's forcing the body to just keep creating
right.
insulin. Well, if you're constantly creating insulin, then your body's going to become insulin. Your cells are going to become insulin resistant, they call it.
Yep.
So the latest, like what Dr. Berg is doing here, and this is exactly what him and all the others are doing, is I don't care about how much blood sugar you have that your insulin needs to take care of. I want to know, is your insulin high?
Are we triggering that response?
Or are we treating the symptom?
Right.
Because the blood sugar could be a symptom.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual thing we need to measure is where's your insulin? Because what if your insulin spikes are from fat?
Right. Well, and he kind of goes into basically that his argument is a very keto argument.
For sure.
You need more fat because that doesn't spike the insulin. See, like he's got his list here of high insulin index, whey protein. It's all pure protein, spikes insulin more. But things that have fat in them, butter, bacon, egg yolks versus egg whites, more fat, less likely to spike the insulin.
Sure. Which it's, I guess it's, now that I'm talking myself through it, I guess it's really a chicken or the egg argument.
Kind of. But, and this, I'll post this video. You can watch it. It's 5 minutes long, and he kind of goes through the differences and why. Basically, his overall argument is that when you're spiking your insulin, your body is not going to lose weight. That's kind of the overall, just, and he goes into the mechanisms and stuff, and he's got a ton of resources.
Well, they call insulin the energy storage hormone.
Right.
So, I mean, I get where he's coming from.
Yeah, he's just basically saying you don't want to be spiking that. It's going to be harder to lose weight if you eat more fat. Don't spike your insulin as much, even though it's counterintuitive because fat has way more calories, right? Mm-hmm. That you can still lose weight. That's his claim, And obviously you still have to be in a caloric deficit, I think.
Right.
But all things being equal, if you're going to eat in a caloric deficit, it should be things that don't spike the insulin versus things that would.
Right.
So that's kind of his main point. So
and
interesting
then
stuff.
And then the mainstream Western medicine will say
the fat's bad.
No, because they support healthy fats. But the mainstream modern Western medicine is going to say, who gives a shit? If insulin is up, it's because it's doing its job.
Oh,
that's
right.
what insulin does.
Yeah.
That's the argument. It's like, oh, your blood sugar. That's why they say, what's your fasted blood glucose level?
Right, because they don't want to know if in response to a meal.
If you had a donut,
it's going to spike.
It's going to spike.
Yeah.
It's supposed to.
Yep.
So if it's high, then you're going to trigger insulin production.
Maybe it's like
that's what it's supposed
a
to
semi
do.
going down the Rockies. If you're riding your brakes all the time, right?
Right.
Sure, you have to use your brakes when you come to a stop sign, but if you're screaming down a mountain and you're just riding them,
they're eventually going to wear out.
Yeah, it's gonna your brakes are going to overheat, and there's the problem.
Yep.
So yes, you need your brakes to stop,
and that's back to the insulin resistance.
Yep.
Because if the insulin's just like Space Invader, asteroids, remember that game?
Yep.
And they're just constantly shooting all of those blood glucose globs, the asteroids.
That, yep.
Yeah, eventually it's just the gun's gonna go, I'm out.
Yep.
I'm out. I can't do this anymore.
Yep.
And then that's exactly what happens. And then the asteroids start getting by you. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, guess what happens now?
You're storing the fat.
Yep.
So yeah, so watch this video. He's got tons of resources too. But one thing I thought was interesting was this insulin index. Okay, so these are the things that the higher the number is, the more they trigger an insulin response. So the lowest, butter, because that's basically just fat. Mm-hmm. So that's 2% insulin index. Then it's olive oil, various of the fatty oils, olive oil, coconut oil, heavy cream, pecans. Now this is not and nothing about calories here. Oof. Obviously, some of these things are super calorically dense.
If it was calorically dense, you'd flip.
Exactly.
You'd flip this chart.
Right. So, just understand what this is highlighting. It's basically saying how much does this particular item spike your insulin. So if you're trying to avoid that, you'd want to stay in the lower end. And if you, for some reason, would want to spike your insulin, then you go to the higher end, or at least be aware of what the things on the higher end are capable of doing.
Right.
So it goes from, butter to cream cheese is about 10%. Pork is 11%. Bacon is 9%. I'm looking for meats and things. Okay. Peanut butter, 11%. Codfish, 12%. Peanuts. Okay. Pork sausage, 13%. Pumpkin. Huh. That's interesting. I would have thought that would have been higher, but I guess it's because it's so starchy and not as much glucose. Almonds, 14%. And then it's cheddar cheese. Egg yolks, 15%. So that's kind of funny because egg whites are at 55%.
Right.
Because of the lack of fat. Right. So it's more protein. So protein protein would cause more of an insulin spike than the fat would. Sure. That's kind of his point. Whole egg is 21%, so that's kind of right in the middle. Makes sense. because the yolk is just the fatty part.
But I did learn, I don't want to sound like Nick right now, but I'm going to for a second. I did find out that the insulin or the gluconeogenesis, the reason that he has the
Which
egg
is
whites
the
high-
conversion of protein into glucose.
correct.
Yep.
So, but it's demand based, not reactionary. So gluconeogenesis
as needed.
as needed.
So that's an advocate again for the high protein diet.
Yep.
Because it's saying it's not going to just take what's coming in and make it all into glucose.
Right.
It's going to produce glucose from that material as it needs.
As it needs after the protein does its thing.
Right. I mean, that, to me, the more we explore all of this, the more I lean towards animal-based, protein-heavy.
Protein prioritized.
Protein prioritized.
Yep.
That's less from the fat, more to the
And guess
protein.
and guess what's the kind of a change right now? I'm seeing I follow them on Instagram and on Twitter, and a lot of the Seco nerds are really pushing the heavy protein now.
Really?
Oh, I'm just like whoa.
You said gummy bears were cool.
Fuck you complete. And then she's like, oh, it's just protein. Make protein your most important thing, and then we can figure it out from like, you bitch.
So the Seco people basically saying calories are basically all that matters, as they used to
Just
say.
energy balance.
And their whole argument was it didn't matter
Yep.
what those calories are made of.
Right.
Did they ever make the argument that it all does not matter? I mean, they can't think that gummy bears are just as good as eating steak and broccoli.
No, their argument is when it comes to losing fat, it's just a caloric deficit. So it doesn't matter what you eat. My argument always back to them was shut the hell up, because just losing fat is never what it's all about.
Shut the hell up. I rest my case.
Right. That's never, you're just making an argument for the sake of argument because you know you can win. You're not doing anybody any good. And the analogy I always use is it's like saying, Jeff Bezos, how did you become so rich? Well, I spent less money than I made.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
I
How did you do that?
I made $1 billion.
Right.
Easy.
Right. So how did you do that? It's easy. You just make it.
And then I made $2 billion.
Right.
And then 30.
But Jeff, how did you, like, step by step?
I started a company.
Yeah, start a company, made money.
Make
hey,
20
you know what?
billion.
Kid, you know what, kid? Work hard. Any other questions? So that's the Seco argument, and it's stupid and lazy, and it just allows them to be a bully and win an argument.
Yeah. Right.
Because in the end, you're going to have to give way to thermogenesis, and you're going to have to say that yes,
So I wonder if
it is calorie restriction.
if you argued with a Seco person and you said, would it be better to eat, let's say your the amount of calories you used in a day was 2,000. Okay. Let's say I was going to eat 2,500 calories of steak and broccoli versus 1,500 calories of ice cream and gummy bears. They wouldn't actually argue in favor of.
They would if they said, if your goal is just fat loss. That's when I say that's never just the goal.
Right.
That's never, ever, ever just the goal.
Now, would they say, if you're going to operate in a deficit, let's say you're going to eat 1,500 calories a day, would they say of steak and broccoli is better than ice cream and gummy bears? Would they at least
Every
concede
time.
that, or would they say it would matter?
Nope, every time.
Okay.
They'll concede that every time.
So they're not completely insane.
No, they're it's they're just posturing to be able. They're positioning themselves to win it, just to win the debate.
Yeah.
And be a bully on Twitter.
Right.
That's all it is.
So this is kind of interesting. So
Not just be a bully and win the debate on Twitter. It's also to be contrarian
right.
to the low carb.
Right. When people are
keto.
saying eat ribeyes and stuff, then they get to pipe in and
They get to say it doesn't matter if you eat just ribeyes.
Right.
You can have carbs. Just be in a deficit. Shut up. Just repeating shit somebody said. You don't even know what you're talking about.
so here's the highest insulin index items. Okay. Bananas, that's 84%. Crackers, 87. Whole wheat bread, 96. 100% is white bread. So that's kind of like the maximum, but it gets better.
Well, yeah. Get extra credit.
Sweetened yogurt, 115. Potatoes, 121. Isn't that interesting? That spikes your insulin the most,
Where's sweet potatoes?
except for jelly beans. Well, they have squash or no pumpkin down here. So that's kind of, that's
pumpkin
not
tastes
exactly
like
sweet
ass.
potatoes, but I don't see sweet potatoes, do you?
No, It's fallen under.
It's not on this particular list, but so just kind of, food for thought, interesting thing to look at. And then he's got a whole ton of resources here for about keto, intermittent fasting, insulin resistance. And this is just the insulin resistance and blood sugar section. So he's got tons of videos and stuff. So, he's a great guy to follow.
For sure.
When you're undertaking this kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's that.
He's very much like the feller.
And he's been, a lot of these videos 5-6 years ago, he's been around a lot. He's one of the OGs in this kind of space too. So
speaking of that methodology, I was listening to KFGO the other morning.
Which is a local radio station for those not from our area.
Yeah. I assume
we had one guy
put those pieces
say
together.
Thanks for telling us what the hell West Acres was, because I didn't know what the hell you were talking
about. Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh. When we were saying we saw fat people at West Acres.
Oh, shopping mall.
I had to explain it as a mall. So
sorry, I get.
So KFGO is a local AM radio station.
Sometimes I forget it's not just you and me sitting here.
Yeah, there's actually people in like the Netherlands and Australia listening.
Oh, good eye, mate.
No, they're not.
Let's put another shrimp on the bar. Let's not. KFGO, local AM radio station, but they have one of those paid guest spots.
Yeah.
It's cheesy.
Infomercial style.
They're reading it. Yeah. Even the radio show host is reading the script and
it's presented as like an interview, but it's really just an ad.
What is it about these energy drinks that I should not be having more than one per day? You're not reading that.
Right.
Anyways, but she was, I won't say the name of her company. However, she was a local business that provides meals and meal planning, and she's strictly keto. She was all about this. She's all about the insulin resistance, keeping your insulin spikes low. Not low, but level.
Right.
Spikes are the bad part.
Normal, not riding the brakes down the mountain.
Right. And I texted Jake, friend of the show. Mm-hmm. I texted him and I said, the new gal in KFGO is actually pretty good. And
nice.
He replied, I agreed. Yeah, she was, she's good. Check it out.
Well, you need to say her name then.
No, I don't. I just need to tell you, listen to KFGO AM at 7.
Does she have a show?
7, no.
Or, it's a paid
store.
But on KFGO,
brick and mortar
an
storefront. No, she's on. She calls in.
Oh, okay.
And they act like it's an interview.
Gotcha.
And it's a paid interview.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a spot.
Yep. So, but yeah, every Tuesday, I want to say 7:30 because I'm on my way to work. So,
can I put the link to her business in the show notes?
I was going to say that, but I don't know if we should without permission.
Well, she'd love that.
Yeah, she probably
free
would.
advertising, baby.
It's called we can't
because you're not here crapping on her. You're saying she's pretty good.
Yeah. So it's actually called Fit Fuel.
Okay.
So yeah, we can put a link to it.
Let's find it.
Yeah, because I forgot her name. There it is. Fit Fuel Fargo.
Oops, I can't. Fit Fuel Foods. All right, let me. Meals that make a difference with Fit Fuel Foods. All right.
Go to the science.
Okay.
Right to the science.
Yep. We've been given bad information for years about how we're supposed to consume our nutrition. Even worse, when people actually tried following the bad information and it didn't work for them managing their weight and health. Those individuals were to blame. Okay, so let's see. Oh, it's Nicole, somebody. Let's look here.
Peacemaker.
Oh.
There's no superhero.
All right, so she's got a everyday low carb keto cooking with Nicole.
There you go.
A short story of Nicole's personal journey and how Fit Fuel came to be. Oh, I think we need to reach out to this little gal.
Nicole Lind here, nurse practitioner and founder and owner of Fit Fuel Foods.
Okay. We should call her up.
Yeah.
See if she wants to come on and chat about it.
Are your products available in Australia? That's that same damn person.
I suppose that's pretty far to ship food.
Yeah. Oh, whoa.
Huh?
Scroll down. I couldn't hear the audio. Oh,
it
I
just
thought
means
it.
it's
I
low.
thought Keith said I could hear you on the radio.
Not everyone is a production genius.
Like me. Everyone knows I'm the brains behind all this.
Yeah. So,
Except the red lights. Where did those go?
oh, I had to take down they're on the ground, sadly.
I didn't even notice. Till just now.
Yep.
We still look ridiculously handsome.
That's true.
So I guess it doesn't matter.
Can't help it. I am as God made me. I just improved it a little. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up there.
Sounds good.
Send emails to info@fitandfurious.com. Make sure you're watching on YouTube. You got to see all these crazy memes and stuff we're doing here and see how handsome we actually are. Listen
Or how
anywhere.
full of shit we are.
Yeah, exactly. Listen anywhere. Speaking of funny, you like Ricky Gervais, right?
Oh, yeah.
Have you watched the show Afterlife? Where he
No.
plays a guy where his wife dies and then he's just does not care about life at all.
Yeah.
And he's just a dick
I've
to
heard of
everybody.
it.
Oh, it's
I
so
haven't
good.
seen it. I need to watch it. He's a funny dude.
So good, man. So yeah, listen anywhere audio podcasts are found. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share. Support the show at furiousmerch.com. And we will see you next week.